You know how we're always saying, Black Americans, we're always saying all over these platforms that our fight for justice and civil rights helped every other group in this country, including white women. You know how we always say that, right? It seems like it just goes over everybody's head because they still keep coming on the internet talking crazy. You have a few that'll be like, yeah, Black Americans did this, and if it wasn't for Black Americans. But I have a clip where a Chinese man admits that, and this is back in the day. This looked like it could have been late 60s, early 70s. He admits that the civil rights movement benefited them. But check out what else he says. I'll be back. Hey folks, someone shared a clip with me and it was only 2 minutes. If I didn't see that clip and if I didn't hear what this Chinese man said, I wouldn't even done this video. But when I heard what he said and some other people in that clip say, I was like, oh, hey, no, I need to do this. My thing is, I didn't really know. I mean, I know we saw the Sinners movie, but I really grasp or come to the realization or have a deeper understanding as to how long Chinese people were in this country. And on top of that, were deep in Mississippi. 3-4 generations in. My point is, for you to be in this country that long in Mississippi during segregation, during the civil rights movement, and saw how violent they were when they came against my people. And I'm sure you are aware of how or heard about them destroying our successful communities and businesses while they let you open and operate businesses freely. You know this. Chinese men and women, you know this history. You still have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to speak down on my people. And the question we could ask Black Americans, where were they? When we were doing the civil rights movement, when our people were segregated and our people consistently fought for their rights, where were these other people? Where were the Chinese? This man gonna tell you right out his mouth where he was. My question is, how do you guys live with yourself? What did these racists promise you to witness such horrific things done against our people and see why so much wealth was taken? So many of our businesses were destroyed. Generational wealth blew up in smoke, went up in smoke. You witnessed this. You heard the stories. Your families were deep in this country. And you still turn around and speak on us as if you really believe we're lazy and didn't want better. And you know what's cold about the Black Americans? We don't even do these groups like that. Especially if we know the history. We know the truth. We would never go around saying, yeah, you minorities, you lazy, no for good. We wouldn't do that, especially if we know how cruel these savage racists are. But the main thing that we have said consistently is, you guys, if it wasn't for our fight, you wouldn't be in the position you're in now, because these same people that you coddle and align with kept you down, even created laws to keep you out of this country. Yet you align with them against us. And at this point, I'm not saying this because I want you to, wake up to reality and join us in our fight. No, it's beyond that. I don't trust you. I would take a 3-legged blind dog on the battlefield with me and trust that they would have my back over you. You've shown me how big of a coward you are. I never trust cowards. So I'm not doing this video for your understanding or compassion. I'm doing this video to keep putting out the truth that racists are trying to hide, but they don't have the ability, authority, or power to do it. The more they try to hide it, the more they're going to make people want to know. So, it's beyond me how you people are. And the way they, and I'm speaking to you Black Americans, the way they align with these people, no matter how dirty and rotten these racists were towards them, and trust, it is documented how rotten and horrific they were towards these other people, but it doesn't compare to our people. They did not routinely destroy these other people's assets and businesses. They didn't do that to them like they did our people. But you gotta wonder and scratch your head, how do these people align with these people who treated them so viciously? It's crazy. We're the only ones that stand up against racists. Like, nah, we ain't aligning with you, and we damn sure ain't gonna coddle you, and we for damn sure ain't gonna act like you didn't act like beastly savages when it came to us. It's almost like, somebody is been bullied, just tragically bullied, and the bully takes their sights off of them and focus on somebody else, and they just get relieved. The victim was relieved because their bully is not intensely harassing them anymore. And along with being relieved, they kind of get cool with the bully and kind of turn around and start bullying the people that the bully is bullying. That's how these minorities are. That's how these other, I have to laugh to keep from crying or being pissed. That's how these other minorities are. These other groups are. See, that's why we are able to walk around with our heads up high, because we didn't never bow down and align with these races just for them to leave us alone. Let's get on with this. Now, the first clip, I have about a total of 3 or maybe 4 clips I want to show you guys. The first clip I'm going to show you, listen to everything that these people say in this clip, and listen to what this guy admits in this clip, and I'm going to come back with my commentary after you hear what this Chinese man says.
Blacks in the South have such a low social status that you simply can't be seen in public with them and still expect to have any respect.
Time to help them try to go to the barber shop. That's how the American barber knows he not the full-blood Chinese. They say don't cut no nigger hair. They put out with that.
Civil rights movement helped the Chinese to attain certain status among the white world, more or less. Whereas we didn't have anything gained in the black world because they didn't have enough for us to step into.
Well, we didn't march. Is that what you mean? Why didn't we get out and march? And well, I guess the best answer is that I'm a coward.
Best answer is that I'm a coward.
See, my people, they think that blacks shouldn't belong with Chinese people. Some people want me to marry somebody of my own color so that, we have our own color because of the blood. You shouldn't mix the blood up. I don't have anything against you. I don't have anything against any color. And I was raised around black people. I'm not going to turn against black people because my people told me not to. I have my own life to live.
We're considered colored, but considered Chinese because we only had Chinese. My father. Yes, my mother. It was right after the slavery was emancipated in the South.
I don't think that they will marry black, my children. Personally, I think that Chinese people tend to, you put me on the spot. This Chinese girl told me that she doesn't trust them. She don't like black kids. She said they don't go with her color. Because they think they'll steal things and, rob people, kidnap and all that. That's what it's called. But I don't think like that. I just think like any colored people's my friends, just as long as they get along with me.
You believe that? He admitted. And did you see how flippant he was? Did you hear how he laughed, chuckled? He chuckled at the fact that he was a coward, admitted that he was a coward. And then I was talking to somebody about that. They were like, yeah, did you see how he laughed? I said, I peeped that. I said he thought it was funny admitting that he was a coward. And then I just thought about our people who put their lives on the line for this. They believed in justice so much that they literally put their lives on the line. And then I said, we don't even know how many of our people were unalived for fighting for their civil rights, basic inalienable rights that we all have, that these savages tried to keep from us. We don't even know for sure, because they lie about everything. We don't even know for sure how many of our people were unalive. And this guy laughed about being a coward. Him laughing like that is nowhere in the world that I would ever stand up and speak up for these people or give them another dime. Ever. I want you to eat every word you said against our people, my people. Okay, so let me read a little bit that I found that I researched for you guys, or had research for me, and then I'm gonna play some other clips after, when I take a little pause. Of course, it's talking about the civil rights movement, but what better way to help emphasize what this guy said and how these people benefited from our people's fight than to talk about the civil rights movement, right? A little bit about it, just a little bit. What happens when a gift becomes a weapon? What happens when the very rights people bled for are turned against the people who won them? This is the uncomfortable story of the civil rights movement. We remember it as a victory for Black America, and it was. But the legal framework born from that struggle was also a gift to all of America's marginalized group. That gift, however, came with a toxic, unintended consequence. This is how some beneficiaries of Black America's fight learned to use the system only to turn around and show hostility towards its original architects. The civil rights movement was a seismic event that fundamentally remade America. While its primary goal was ending centuries of oppression against Black Americans, the laws that emerged were written to be universal, thanks in part to the broad multiracial coalitions that pushed for them. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a cornerstone. It banned discrimination in specific areas like employment and public accommodations, not just based on race, also on religion, national origin, and sex. This opened the door for women to fight workplace discrimination and for religious minorities to demand fair treatment. It was a victory for human rights, not just Black rights. Did you hear that? It was a victory for human rights. So all you people that come over here with your religions, Muslims, and everybody else in between, what my people fought for and stood for helped your ass too. That's why we should demand reparations for all these people. All of them. Y'all all need to pay what you weigh. Let's continue. Then came the Immigration and Nationality Act of 65, passed in the same equality-focused climate. It was strongly influenced by the Civil Rights era and Cold War pressures to project a more image abroad. This law finally abolished the old immigration quota system, a system designed with the intent to preserve American homogeneity. By heavily favoring Northern Europeans, for the first time in modern history, the door was open for substantial immigration from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, completely changing the face of the nation. This act, along with the Voting Rights Act of '65, created the conditions that allowed Latinos, Asian, and other minority communities to build political power and demand representation. So again, if it wasn't for our people's fight, you would not be here. They didn't want you here like that. And now you and white racists are best friends. This was the rights revolution. Legal precedents set by the black-led struggle were used by nearly every other marginalized group to secure their own rights. It was a tide that was meant to lift all boats. Now, before I get into this next paragraph, let me play this other short. Let me play this other video. And in this next video, this woman admits, no, it wasn't even about admitting. This woman just comes out and says, okay, this blackout is us transferring our money back to us, right? And we have been saying that we have been making everybody in this country rich, right? This woman is going to say that in this video. They have always relied on our money. Check this out.
When I think about how the Chinese came and just settled in the Delta from Memphis to Vicksburg, I mean, just look at it. It really filled a particular need because nobody else wanted to do it.
These stores played a uniquely important role in the segregated South, serving the black community when the white community wouldn't. And this was significant because it meant more than 70% of the population got their groceries and everyday goods from a tiny Chinese community. Frida's family store in Minsang started out in the 1930s as two different buildings across the street from each other. One serving black people, the other serving white people. Neither black nor white, the Chinese community found themselves in the middle.
It was like a 3-lane road. There were the whites and the blacks and the Chinese. We all stayed in our lanes and we were fine until we crossed over.
The Chinese grocers depended on the black community for business and also served them in very practical ways.
Did you hear what she said? Let me play it again.
The Chinese grocers depended on the black community for business and also served them in very practical ways.
You see how long they've been dependent on our black dollars? And you would think that people who are supposed to be as smart as they are, right? If you relied on our black dollars for decades, wouldn't you realize by now that you would have to, or you need to show respect? See, what happened is she said that they were like in the middle until they crossed over, meaning until white America started embracing them and then using them to stigmatize us, right? It seems to me that the Chinese start taking on their colonizer ways. So they saw or accepted white people treating us the way they treated us, so they figured they'd do it too, and they never stopped. And if you look at our community, especially the southern poor communities, what do we get out of it? These people stack generational wealth on top of wealth on top of wealth, and we still have poor, dirt poor black communities all around this country, especially in cities and communities where immigrant businesses are. That's a crying shame. That should be theft on so many different levels. Okay. So let me continue with this report. But this expansion of rights had a dark and deeply ironic consequence. Some communities that directly benefited from this new legal framework began to display a unique and troubling hostility toward the very people who made it all possible. This isn't just a feeling, it's a pattern that some sociological studies have documented. finding that certain first-generation immigrant communities may hold more negative views of Black Americans than their native-born counterparts. We see this manifest in different ways. Take the model minority myth. Often applied to some Asian communities, this stereotype suggests that they are uniquely successful, but it's a double-edged sword created by media and politicians, not the communities themselves. It's used to create a wedge, implicitly asking, if they can succeed, why can't Black Americans? Now, we already know. It was a woman who wrote a book, an Asian woman wrote a book talking about that, exposing why they created that myth and talking about how they treated them. You know, before they came up with that myth, it was always, like I said, all these groups that enter this country so strong. In some way, racists always use them to try to demean us, to try to lessen our accomplishments in this country that even benefited racists. I'm going to read a little bit more of this report, and then I'm going to end this video with the rest of the clips I found. And I'm probably going to put some links in the description if you guys want to check the video is out yourself that I got the clips from. And that's about it, folks. I just had to come online to talk. Oh, Lord, these people. I was just telling somebody, it's going to be so bad when it comes to the seeds that these people plant. I don't know if y'all believe in seed. I don't know how many of you guys believe in sowing and reaping. If you don't, you better learn. 2, I'll never say karma. I don't know what the hell karma is. And of course, I do know what karma is, but I don't use karma when it comes to, I don't use karma because karma is just a weak, diluted word that people say when they don't want to say sowing and reaping. Okay? But it's going to be bad, y'all. All these people who came against us and contributed to oppression against us, it's going to be bad. It's going to be so bad for them. I can say this before I read a little bit more of this report. I'm glad I'm not them. Okay, let's continue. This is not just theoretical. In 2022, leaked audio from a meeting between powerful Los Angeles City Council members Nuri Martinez and her cohorts exposed this sentiment in the ugliest way possible. In the recording, they made racist and dehumanizing remarks about a fellow council member's Black child while strategizing how to consolidate Latino political power, partly at the expense of Black representation. It was a raw look into how the beneficiaries of the civil rights struggle can sometimes turn its tools into weapons. And that's what we have been saying. We're not going to continue to give these people in our community wealth so that they can send their children to school and gather tools from these schools to work against us. You got the game twisted. It's a done deal. I would have put this white woman's clip in my video, but she ain't even worth it. They keep coming on trying to make it's like the more they try to make us look stupid and asinine, it's like you let me know you have a cave bandit mentality. Because if all this time you haven't gotten it, or you refuse to get that we said we are specifically not giving our money to these businesses, these immigrant businesses in our community who did not return the wealth, who did not reciprocate the wealth, and who treat us nasty in their businesses in our community. We are not going to give them our money anymore. If we have to, we've been saying this for about 2-3 weeks and you still don't get it, and you still want to make it seem like we're just so stupid. Now you're gonna boycott everything Chinese. It's like we didn't say that. Everything Asian, we didn't say that. We didn't say that at all, and I'm not even gonna repeat what we said because you know what we said. You know what we said. You're just so anti-Black that you like to take everything we say and twist it around to fit your stupid narrative. That at the end of the day, it makes you look stupid. And then I was talking about it. There's so many videos coming up talking about how these people are just always in our business, got something to say, and it has nothing to do with them. And then somebody was telling me, you know, they have stakes in these businesses. I said, yeah, I know they do. A lot of these people, you got to think about it. They're coming online talking crazy and ratchet because they have stakes in these businesses too. They could be the silent partners. So when you see these people getting online with all their whole chest exasperated and upset, like we done took money out of their bank account, we probably are taking money out of their bank account. They just not saying it. And then I'm like, if you're so concerned about these people businesses, why don't you go help them out? You got hair on your head. You might not be able to do all the variety of things we can do, but you still have hair on your head. They don't sell lice, shampoo, and conditioner you guys can use. Come on, think. How can you support these people that you guys align with against us? Why are you so bothered that we have pulled our money back? That's the question. Why? They know why we're doing this. And then you black women, you're sitting there we're getting your pedicures and your manicures, and these people are talking crap. And you realize some black people know your language. Sitting there talking crap about these people who are giving you their money, paying for a service, giving you their money. Why don't you talk about why some of them black women left out of your businesses and didn't pay you? You want to make it seem like they were criminals and broke and just didn't want to pay you. Some of them probably walked out because they got tired of hearing how foul you was talking about them. And also another thing I want to say before I show these videos, these clips in this video. I saw a TikTok video, this Hispanic woman advertising a house for rent in Gardena, California, and she was doing it mainly. Only thing she said in English was Los Angeles. Duh. Like she could write that in Spanish. But everything else was advertised in Spanish. That's against the law. If you see anything, these people doing anything illegal, especially advertising in their language, especially when it comes to rentals, that is against the law. Call your real estate board in whatever state, city you live in. If you see these people, not just Spanish people, advertising in their language, especially when it comes to rentals and home buying a house or renting a building, you report it to the real estate board. Get all the information from whatever they're advertising. You especially want their name. And if they have a legitimate real estate license, contact the real estate board and file a complaint, because that is biasness. We're going to stop trying to, no. Gloves are off. Now check out the rest of these videos I found. And I'm out. Another thing I wanted to say about these clips that I'm adding is it was kind of hard for me to watch these clips, because the things that they talked about, the issues they said they experienced in this country with racism and biasness, it's like you're saying the same thing we've said, but it's more meaningful to them because it happened to them. But as long as we said it, it was like, oh, here we go. Damn, black people, can you play a different record? All right, folks, I'm out.
A divide. The Delta is mostly regarded as a black and white thing. And for Chinese to be right in the middle, I definitely don't think most of America knows this story.
Segregation and harsh laws once impacted every part of life here, and the pandemic has heightened old tensions.
But I just remember, you stupid chink.
Is this perpetual idea that Asians are foreigners, that we are not quote-unquote American.
For generations, many Asian Americans have chosen not to speak out against racism.
Maybe perhaps by not being so vocal, we were not viewed as a threat.
Now, today's youth say it's time to demand change.
There's always a consequence to everything. It's always going to be a negative. I think people are afraid of the truth. We have to be the ones to voice our opinions to find the solution. Being here for basically 3 generations, being seen different, it does kind of make you feel alone. A lot of the times when I've experienced racism, I'm not allowed to stand up for myself.
In the late 19th century, after the Civil War, plantation owners recruited early Chinese immigrants to work the cotton fields. But they didn't stay in the fields. Many found a new purpose in an untapped market, opening and running small grocery stores.
Did you want the 4 pennies?
Now, Ryan Kwan is the third generation in his family to run their market in Greenville, Mississippi.
You know, you as a Chinese American, you feel like you've gotten, you know, like increased hostility from people?
Last year was probably the worst year for us. I think we had a lot more criticisms as well as racial slurs thrown more than this year.
At all different names. Wuhan was catching on. Coronavirus, right? Kung flu.
At the beginning of the pandemic, the FBI warned of a surge in hate crimes toward Asian Americans.
And you know why that spike in hate crimes against Asians happened. You had the whole president of the United States basically making a mockery out of Asians. And then that's when you start hearing about more people or people attacking Asians, and then we were the scapegoat. That is another case against this country and the Asian community for allowing themselves to be used against us by saying we were the ones targeting them. I had a clip of an Asian woman saying that every time she saw an attack against the Asian, it was always a white male attacking older Asians. Once I find that clip, I'm going to do a short on it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not saying black people weren't attacking them. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is the majority of the attacks that I saw and another Asian woman says she saw were attacks from white males against Asians. Let's continue.
Tonight, the FBI is stepping up its efforts to counter the shocking surge in attacks on Asian Americans.
In Greenville, Asian Americans make up less than 1% of the population. And while the numbers for Chinese Americans specifically aren't reported, those we spoke with said out of a community that decades ago numbered in the thousands across the Delta region, today only hundreds remain.
When I was a little boy, that the thought of me being Asian, at one time, I used to hate it. I used to hate the fact that I was treated so badly. And every time I looked in the mirror, I felt that I hated what I am because I felt like I was a monster because they would do the little typical, you know, pulling their eyes down. Coming to school, I always felt like I was an alien just because of my physical appearance. One particular memory that I have from this school being bullied was when I was in the gym. I could hear people laughing at me. So I couldn't see who it was, but I just remember, like, "You stupid chink" was one that stood out to me the most.
One last thing I noticed about this, this last video I played, I noticed that they didn't specify who they were being targeted by. Was it black people targeting them in Mississippi, or was it white people? And when they went to his school, I'm going to put the links to these videos in the description. When they went to his school, by the looks of things, the area, to me, from what I saw, it didn't look like it was a black area. And I'm not trying to, it didn't look like it was like a impoverished area. That's what I'm saying. So anyone who's familiar with that area, if you look at the video that I'm going to put in the description, let me know if I'm correct or not. But I'm assuming that he went to a white school. And when he was called those racial slurs, it just seemed like the majority of these immigrant groups refuse to say who the true culprit is. And the only time they will say who the true culprit is when they're trying to manipulate us and get us to help them with something. Other than that, they accuse us of being the culprits. All right, folks, I'm out. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing and hyping. And I will see you guys in the next video.